Maybe there was a time when skipping a meal felt harmless. You could rush through the day, miss lunch or dinner, and your body would somehow keep up without much protest. But as the years pass, something changes. The body that once tolerated neglect now speaks in quieter but firmer ways. A little lightheadedness here, a wave of fatigue there, or even a sudden emptiness that feels different from simple hunger. It's as if your body has grown wiser than your habits, whispering that it needs a gentle rhythm, a steadier source of nourishment. And isn't that a curious thing? Aging doesn't take away our strength, it reshapes it. What once was resilience through resistance becomes resilience through attention. When you honor those signals, you're not giving in to weakness. You're practicing respect for the vessel that has carried you through so many seasons of life. Skipping meals is no longer a small act of convenience. It becomes a missed opportunity to anchor yourself, to create stability in a day that might otherwise feel scattered. Think about it. Food is more than fuel. It's a pause, a ritual, a moment that reminds you that you still deserve care. If you find yourself wondering, why do I feel more tired than I used to? Why does a skipped lunch feel so draining now? The answer may not be complicated. It may simply be that your body is asking for consistency, for small acts of kindness delivered in the form of regular meals. And this isn't about forcing yourself into rigid schedules or heavy plates. It's about allowing nourishment to become a friend you meet at predictable times, a source of gentle steadiness. Perhaps the real question is not whether you should eat, but whether you are willing to treat eating as a way of honoring yourself. Every bite is a reminder that you're still here, still present, still worthy of strength and comfort. I'd love to hear something from you, too. Where are you reading this right now? Share your city or country below. I want to know the place where these words are meeting you. Morning has a special kind of silence, doesn't it? The world hasn't quite rushed into its full speed, and your body is still deciding how it wants to greet the day. That's why the first meal can matter so much more than we sometimes admit. It sets the tone, not only for your energy, but for your mood, your focus, and even the way you carry yourself through the hours ahead. Yet many people say, "I'm just not hungry in the morning," and push breakfast aside. At first, it seems harmless, but over time, those skipped mornings start to leave little marks on your well-being. Helen, a warm-hearted woman of 74, used to tell me she simply didn't feel like eating before noon. She would sip tea, maybe nibble on a cracker, and think she was fine. But she noticed something troubling. On the days she skipped breakfast, she forgot small things more often. A misplaced key, a phone call unanswered, a sense of being foggy until late in the afternoon. Think about it. Food is more than fuel. It's a pause, a ritual, a moment that reminds you that you still deserve care. If you find yourself wondering, why do I feel more tired than I used to? Why does a skipped lunch feel so draining now? The answer may not be complicated. It may simply be that your body is asking for consistency, for small acts of kindness delivered in the form of regular meals. And this isn't about forcing yourself into rigid schedules or heavy plates. It's about allowing nourishment to become a friend you meet at predictable times, a source of gentle steadiness. Perhaps the real question is not whether you should eat, but whether you are willing to treat eating as a way of honoring yourself. Every bite is a reminder that you're still here, still present, still worthy of strength and comfort. I'd love to hear something from you, too. Where are you reading this right now? Share your city or country below. I want to know the place where these words are meeting you. When she finally decided to try even a light meal, some yogurt with fruit, or half a slice of toast with a bit of cheese, she was surprised by the difference. "I didn't realize how empty I felt until I filled myself," she said with a smile, realizing breakfast wasn't about appetite, it was about support. Your body, especially as you grow older, doesn't always send hunger signals in the same way it used to. You may not wake up ravenous, but that doesn't mean you don't need fuel. Think of breakfast as a gentle offering to yourself. It doesn't need to be heavy or complicated. A boiled egg, a spoonful of oatmeal, a piece of fruit. Small, steady choices can keep your blood sugar balanced and your mind clear. If mornings feel rushed or your appetite feels slow to awaken, you can prepare the night before. Set out a small bowl, slice some fruit, or place a yogurt cup at the front of your fridge where it waits for you. These tiny steps make it easier to honor your body without pressure. And if you truly can't face a full meal, then start with half. Half a slice of toast, half a banana, half a cup of warm milk. What matters is not the size, but the consistency. Each morning you give your body a little anchor, a message that says, "You matter, and I'm here for you." As you read this, perhaps you're remembering your own mornings. Do you sometimes skip breakfast because you don't feel like eating? Or do you push through with coffee alone, hoping it's enough? Be gentle with yourself as you reflect on that. This is not about judgment, only about awareness. Because the truth is, each small act of nourishment is a form of kindness, and kindness, in the long run, always strengthens us. If these gentle reminders resonate with you, I invite you to subscribe, so that together we can keep exploring ways to care for your body and spirit with the compassion they truly deserve. There is something about the middle of the day that can feel fragile, almost like standing on a bridge between morning energy and evening rest. Around noon, the body quietly asks for replenishment, though sometimes you might not notice the signals right away. You may tell yourself, "I'll eat later, I'm not really hungry." Or perhaps you get caught up in tasks, phone calls, or simply resting a little too long in your chair. Yet when lunch is skipped, the body reminds you in subtle but insistent ways. Fatigue settling into your limbs, a sudden wave of dizziness when you stand, or even an unexpected irritability that feels unlike you. There's a reason for this, and it isn't about willpower or weakness. As we age, the body becomes more sensitive to the ebb and flow of blood sugar. When meals are delayed, glucose levels can drop more quickly, leaving the brain and muscles without steady fuel. In youth, your system could buffer those fluctuations with little complaint, but now the margin of safety is smaller. A skipped meal doesn't just mean hunger. It can mean feeling unsteady on your feet, struggling to think clearly, or becoming vulnerable to falls and lapses of memory. None of this makes you fragile. It simply means your body has earned the right to be cared for differently. Imagine lunch not as an interruption, but as an anchor. By offering your body nourishment in the middle of the day, you are giving it the steady flow it needs to carry you through the afternoon with clarity and balance. Even something simple, a bowl of soup, half a sandwich, a piece of fruit with some cheese, can act like a stabilizing hand on your shoulder, keeping you upright and calm. Sometimes it helps to pause and ask yourself gently, "Do I feel lightheaded more often than I used to in the afternoons? Do I notice my mood dropping when I go too long without eating? Do I find that I tire easily before the day is over?" These questions aren't tests, they're invitations to notice the patterns your body is trying to show you. Perhaps the next time you consider skipping lunch, you might choose instead to offer yourself even a small portion of something nourishing. That little act of attention can transform the way the rest of your day feels. Food, in this sense, becomes less about filling the stomach and more about protecting your balance, your safety, and your peace of mind. And isn't that what we all want at this stage in life? To move through the hours with steadiness and dignity, not forced by hunger or fatigue into moments that feel out of our control. There is a common belief that skipping dinner might be good for the body, that eating less in the evening helps with weight or digestion. Perhaps you've even told yourself, "I'll just have a cup of tea, I don't really need a full meal tonight." But the truth is, in later years, missing this evening nourishment can do more harm than good. Your body has already worked through the day, using up its reserves of energy. And going to bed on an empty stomach often means your system is left without the stability it needs to rest well. Instead of waking refreshed, you may find yourself tossing and turning, waking up too early, or even rising in the night with a feeling of weakness. Dinner does not need to be heavy or complicated, but it does need to exist. Think of it as a closing ritual for the day, one that reassures your body that it is safe and cared for. If the idea of a full plate feels overwhelming, then start with smaller portions. A little soup, a piece of fish or chicken, or even a warm bowl of porridge can give your body the signal it needs to relax. Balance is more important than size.
Pairing a bit of protein with vegetables or grains helps the body to stabilize blood sugar levels, and that stability carries into the night, protecting you from restlessness and fatigue come morning. It can be helpful to think of dinner as a gentle conversation with yourself. Instead of asking, "How little can I eat?"
Perhaps try, what small thing would comfort me right now? This shift in thought changes the act of eating from a burden into a kindness. And if cooking feels tiring at the end of the day, try to simplify. Prepare something earlier or keep easy staples on hand that don't take much effort. A soft boiled egg, a slice of bread with a little butter, a bowl of steamed vegetables. These are enough when offered with consistency. Step by step, you might create a pattern that feels both light and nourishing. First choosing to eat something, then making it balanced, and finally ensuring you don't leave too long a gap between dinner and bedtime. This rhythm teaches your body to trust you again. You may find, with time, that sleep feels deeper, that mornings come with more ease, and that the small strength you carry through the day is steadier. The goal isn't perfection. It is only to remind yourself every evening that you are worthy of care, even in the last quiet hours before rest. There is something deeply comforting about routine, especially when it comes to meals. As the years pass, stability becomes less of a convenience and more of a lifeline. Your body, your mind, your emotions, they all respond to patterns of care. When you give yourself meals at regular times, you create not only nourishment, but also a rhythm that gently steadies you. Think of it as a series of small rituals that hold your day together, like threads weaving a fabric of calm. It doesn't have to be grand or complicated. Setting the table, even if only for yourself, can turn eating into a moment of respect. Preparing the same simple breakfast each morning can become a grounding practice. And sharing food, whenever possible, even if just with a neighbor or a friend over a phone call, transforms nourishment into connection. These rituals remind you that meals are not chores. They are pauses, spaces where you allow yourself to breathe and be present. Sometimes it helps to reflect. Do you see your meals as tasks to be done or as small gifts you offer to yourself? What would change in your day if you treated eating not as an obligation, but as an act of kindness, a way of saying, "I matter"? For many people, this shift in perspective softens the edges of loneliness or restlessness that sometimes accompany later life. Meals become less about filling the stomach and more about filling the heart. It can also be practical. Choosing regular times to eat keeps your energy steady, helps you avoid sudden fatigue, and supports your memory and mood. You don't need strict rules, just a gentle rhythm. Maybe breakfast always happens after you water the plants. Maybe lunch is a quiet moment before your favorite afternoon program. Maybe dinner is enjoyed with soft music playing, turning the end of the day into a ritual of closure and peace. Each of these choices is a way of saying yes to life, yes to presence, yes to care. And you deserve that every single day. Remember, it's not about perfection. There will be days when appetite is low or energy is scarce. On those days, even a small portion, even a cup of soup or a piece of fruit is enough if it carries intention. Meals, after all, are less about the size of the serving and more about the meaning behind it. Think of them as markers on the path of your day, gentle reminders that your body and spirit are still walking forward together. If these words speak to you, I encourage you to subscribe so we can continue walking this path of gentle reminders side by side. And I'd love to know from you, what meal of the day feels the hardest for you to keep consistent? Share your thoughts. I'd be honored to listen.